Tansei, welcome to Métis Minute, your source for Métis news in Region 7. Welcome back to Métis Minute. I am your host, Samantha Loney. And since it's the summer, we wanted to continue to bring you stories from the Muskoka region. As you know, Muskoka is part of Region 7, and not only do Métis citizens live in this region, but a lot of us flock up there in the summer to enjoy the beautiful scenery. Today, we wanted to focus on some issues that were brought up at a recent Gravenhurst City Council meeting. To start the show, we wanted to bring you two concerns that were brought forth by citizens in Gravenhurst. One of them was a lifeguard who came before City Council to discuss the unfair wages that lifeguards in Gravenhurst face. The second issue and first one that we're going to bring you is the Thursday night Old Timers Hockey League. A few members of the league came before City Council to discuss the current limitations and restrictions that the league is facing. This is not the first time that the league has aired their grievances to City Council, and they're hoping that the issues they brought forward today will help to make sure that everybody who wishes to participate in the league can.
Okay, next on the list, we have Duncan Sanderson from Gravenhurst Thursday Night Old Timers Hockey League. I didn't mean to call you an old timer, but that's what it said.
We live with it. We live with the fact, right?
Okay. So welcome. As you know, you have 10 minutes to address us, and we will have the clerk start that, and then we can see if there's any questions from council.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Your Worship, councillors, committee members, and guests. My name is Duncan Sanderson. I'm here again this afternoon representing the Gravenhurst Old Timer Thursday Night Hockey League. I do have some members of our league with us today and a couple of business members. If I could start by saying that I'm a little disappointed and frustrated that we're here again to voice our concerns over the ice allocations at the Gravenhurst Rec Centre. If we could take a second just to refresh everyone's memories, we were here before council last August trying to get some resolutions to our ongoing concerns. At that time, council did acknowledge our concerns and several points were presented to the town of Gravenhurst staff that were present. Some of the questions were answered fairly, however, there was misconception in others that I think we were clearly able to clarify. Council informed us then that it was too late for anything to be addressed for that season, but to come back before council again. Last season, our league was reduced to 5 teams from 6 teams, with one team having a bye week as a 3-game schedule. Finishing at 12 a.m. was not feasible. One team sitting every week so that we can run the league in the time provided is not desirable for our league. We've been presently only offered a 2-hour time slot from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Thursday nights. This again is not what we require or requested. Our request was from 7 to 11, as we now have a 6th team again that wants to join our league, provided we have ice time. I wanted to come to council earlier to deal with this. As soon as we received our offer of ice time, I attempted for the deputation for the June council meeting, but it was full. That's why we're here in July now and not June. It's my understanding that the Muskoka Shield was on the agenda in the June meeting trying to restore their ice time in an effort to, I quote, save the team from extinction, much like we're trying to do with the league that has been around for at least 35 years and has always been in good standing with the town. Although I'm not totally sure if they've been allotted, I hope that our denied request has nothing to do with the Shield getting the ice times they requested. There are implications from this league shutting down, including but not limited to loss of our ice revenue, which was around $10,000 last year, the support of the various establishments we attend for post-game refreshments and food, as well as they host our league meetings, etc., local stores that supply sporting goods and equipment, maintenance. It may not be a huge contribution from our league, but will certainly be felt by small business. Part of trying to keep this league on track and healthy is the participation for adults who overage per se for recreational sports. A few of our league participated in hockey in the 55-plus games. The results weren't quite what we wanted, but that was back in February. For those that don't know, it's sponsored partially by the Ontario government to help keep adults active. Surely the demise of our league contradicts this contented participation for adult sports. Our enrollment is in the neighborhood of 100 players, with about 80% being Gravenhurst residents. These same players are some of the volunteers that represent, train, coach, preside over, convene, and sponsor minor hockey as well as other minor sports in Gravenhurst. I don't fully understand why we're competing with out-of-town or new returning users. One reason given to us last year is that they have decided to focus on developing youth. Honestly, again, we don't consider this to be a viable reason. We ask you will ice time after 8 p.m. on a weekday. School night be institutional in youth development? I don't think so. Many nights the time slot before us sits empty due to holidays and users not requiring for the last weeks of the season. I think it was 4 or 5 weeks last year to finish the season. The hour ahead of us was empty. We requested every night, every Thursday from September to ice out, meaning it never sits empty from 8 p.m. waiting for our time slot of 9 p.m. I have, as a convener, fought for ice times for the past few years and have been told the act, whichever act that is, it's never really been stated, that allocation for minor sports organizations comes first. We're truly not losing ice time availability to minor sports. I ask this council once again to consider to consider any options within the power to work with the town and help keep our league going forward with regaining our 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. Thursday night time slot. I thank you in advance for all considerations. I'd like to turn over our remaining time to anyone else with me that would like to add anything that I may have forgotten. Thank you. I will. Yeah, I'll stay with you, Jesse.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jesse Grimes, the owner of Sobeys in town. And I just wanted to start off by thanking the community here, how generous and everybody's been in welcoming my family and I into the community. It's been amazing. It's been 3.5 years already. And one of my first outings ever was, "Oh, you're a goalie." And so right about after that, at 30 years old, I actually got invited with these nice gentlemen, and it was an honor to be part of it, to go out to Frosty Pint, and it was a routine every Thursday night. Did the wife love it? Not necessarily when you're coming home a little bit later, having a few drinks and stuff, but I got to say it was a great time with the guys, and I think by possibly honoring what we would really like, and it'd be amazing. I also coach a out-of-town AAA hockey team in Rama. It's my son; he's 10 years old, and I do know that the Predators do get ice time, and I'd totally be fine with just shipping them out to Bala. That's okay. We're okay with that. But it would be awesome if you guys could make this wish come true. Thank you.
Okay, is there anybody else want to speak for the group?
Hello, my name is Brian Goodwin. I play in the league with Duncan and these other gentlemen. One thing that Duncan did forget to mention is all of us guys that are in this league, many of us own our own small businesses. And this is not much different. It actually ends up working like a chamber of commerce almost, because Duncan is my electrician for my machine shop. We have plumbers on our team. We have contractors. One of the guys on our team does contracting for me at my house. So it's a great networking for all of us too that keeps money in the township. I thought of that when Duncan was talking. So I just wanted to mention it. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you. So it looks like everybody's had their chance to speak. So again, I'll thank you for coming in. We do have an ICE allocation policy, and we do ask staff to, implement that policy. And the procedure, the way that our procedures work is we receive the deputation, and then a councillor has an opportunity to bring something forward if they want to lift a policy or procedure that's in place. That's up to a councillor to do that with a notice of motion. So I think there was a question raised, and I'll ask our CAO if you know, council can be provided if it's, you know, about the time between. I would suggest, though, that the time between 8 and 9 is being filled. I find maybe it's not being filled every week, but I imagine that it is being booked out. And maybe that's a question that we need to look at, is if they're not using that time. I think that's a fair question to be answered at a later time. But I will ask, are there any questions for members of council to the deputant? I don't see it. Oh, I've got Councillor Jorgensen.
Thank you, Your Worship. And, you know, I'd like to say, I think on behalf of all of council, probably, you know, that we understand the dilemma, and we certainly hear you. What in the past has happened, and I'm hoping we could perhaps get more information through staff in terms of a briefing note, you know, of what the current situation is right now. I think that would be helpful to us. But, you know, and as the mayor has said, you know, the problem is right now we do have an ice allocation policy that staff are following, and we have to figure out if there is anything we can do short of, you know, changing the direction of that. That's, and as the mayor has said, that any councillor could bring forward a motion to look at that. But as it stands right now, I think I would like more information on what the current state of affairs is with respect to all the ice time. So perhaps we could, you know, through the CAO, perhaps we could get
before I go to
again.
Yeah, before I go to Councillor Johnston, is there something, Mr. Lucas, that you would require from us to bring us some information? Any sort of formal direction, or are you getting the gist?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No, we can undertake to provide that information. I believe Ms. Patterson put something together last year that showed the pressures that staff face in doing the ice allocation strategy, and I can. Her and I have had a couple of conversations. It hasn't gotten any easier this year. If anything, it's more and more challenging year over year. So we can certainly provide some updated stats and a breakdown of user groups in the form of a briefing note. We don't need formal direction. I'm sure it's easy enough to do.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Johnston.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. Well, once again, this is kind of scary. I'm following up with my colleague here, who are perhaps sitting too close together. I too have a number of questions about the current circumstances, and I know that our professional staff in this, I have the greatest respect for them, but I have a number of questions that I'm not going to ask tonight, Your Worship, but I would like to have a briefing note or a report. You suggested, Your Worship, that a notice of motion might be in order, and I'm certainly prepared to do that. As I said, I know how difficult it's been, but one of my questions, for example, just to put my thinking in perspective, is that, as Duncan has said, this group has been spending time, that recreational league, for 35 years, and so one of my questions I would like answered, not tonight, but in a report, is what changed. The suggestion was made by Mr. Sanderson. I was a little too familiar calling you by your first name. I apologize, sir. That there'd been a re-emphasis on youth rather than, to use the term of the league, old timers, and so I'd like that addressed. As I said, it may be that there are very good reasons for the circumstance we're in right now, but as my colleague has just said, there may be some fine tuning that we could do. So I would like to have that done. And if a notice of motion is appropriate, Your Worship, I would so move to do that. Thank you.
Well, I would suggest the notice of motion would be, crafted for next council. So, but in the meantime, I think we can expect some information from the arena staff, and I would suggest some of the expansion of programming that has happened. I mean, we have a really, with youth in mind, and I get it. I have to play baseball sometimes late in the evenings, and I'm aging out because it's like I have to go after Jeopardy, which is becoming, increasingly difficult to do. But we will hear from, we'll get some information from the arena staff, but I would say part of the dilemma is we have some really successful youth programming happening. I mean, the ringette team that has been, the league, I would say, is a huge success here. And so it's one of those things that it's a good news, bad news, and how the impacts of a success, affects others. So leave it to us to get some information from staff. And, I hear where you're coming from, but the policy right now does say youth are a priority. So, maybe we can get Jesse's, did you say the Predators? Maybe you can start a bus to go to Bala, but yeah, we hear you. So just know that it would be us lifting our policy in order to permit it going forward. So somebody has to push the button. There you go. Yeah.
We totally understand that with the youth. Our concern is that so the ringette has taken over the hour ahead of us. They don't use it every week, but is there time allotted for ringette on another night that's being used by an out-of-town user? That's our thing. Like, we totally get we're not being JAs about it, but the ice time is being lost to out-of-town users. Like, it's fine to say that, 20 years ago, one kid from Gravenhurst played on the AAA. Jesse's probably the number 2 kid from Gravenhurst that's played AAA on the Predators in the last, we're losing ice time. And it's not just us. We had talked to some people from Gravenhurst Minor Hockey last year who, while the Aurelia Hawks women's hockey was here, they were driving their kids out to Baysville for practice. And that's totally unfair to players from the town, to residents of the town. So, like I say, our problem is not with supporting youth, it's supporting losing time from out-of-town users. That's okay. Our concern.
Point taken.
For 25 years, we had that time slot. There was all kind. Gravenhurst Minor Hockey was bigger than it is now at that point in time. We found time for everybody, and then all of a sudden, we got pushed out to the back for different reasons. So.
Okay, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for clarifying that. Okay, Councillor Johnston, was there something new you wanted to add, or can we move on to we do have another deputation? Okay, go ahead.
I'll be extremely brief, Your Worship. I just have a comment and a question. The question is simply, would we be getting information prior to the next council meeting so we can digest that rather than at the next council meeting? That's number one. And just a comment I want to make very quickly is that our professional staff have shown great creativity and willingness to look at circumstances. I have a couple of examples I won't mention, but they know what ones I'm talking about perhaps. So I would hope that once again, all those circumstances can be looked at in their totality, recognizing all the different interests, and see if there is some compromise that can be made creatively to at least provide some solution to the group. Thank you, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so thanks again for coming. Okay. So I will invite our next deputation, Hillary Tucker and Regan Tucker. Sorry, Regan or Reagan? Regan, pardon me. Regarding lifeguard wages.
Yes, I do have a gorgeous slideshow up there. As you guys probably already know, I'm here to discuss lifeguard wages. And do you guys flip it or do I? Oh, there's a clicker, sorry. But first I'll tell you a bit about myself. I'm Regan Tucker. I've lived in Gravenhurst my whole life. I'm 17, And I've worked in aquatics and I've taken swimming lessons ever since I can remember, and I'm still taking courses to fully immerse myself in the world of aquatics. I have worked at the Gravenhurst YMCA ever since I legally could, so 15, and, well, legally in aquatics. And I've also worked at the beach, Gull Lake. This is my second summer there, and I've worked at the Bracebridge Sportsplex as a lifeguard and swim instructor. I do really enjoy my job, and I'm not here as a lifeguard from Gull Lake. I am, but I'm more here as a citizen of Gravenhurst who's concerned with the wage the lifeguards are receiving. And I see firsthand the quality work that they provide. And I'm not here as a disgruntled employee trying to complain. I'm just here to show you the work that they do and how they are only making less than 60 cents above minimum wage. Gull Lake is the only guarded beach in all of Muskoka. And I remember even as a child, I wouldn't be allowed to go swim at other beaches because they weren't as safe. Gull Lake's the guarded beach, so I remember so many fond memories of swimming there with my friends. And we see kids there every day because maybe their families can't afford summer camps, but they come to Gull Lake, a safe place that's warm for them to hang out in the summer. And it's safe for the tourists who maybe don't know how to swim that often or that well. They come to Gull Lake where it's safe for their kids, and we give them life jackets, and it's a great place for everyone to gather. Some comparables. In aquatics, I know that the Tall Pines are paying their lifeguards $18.50 an hour, and they don't require any instructing certifications or even waterfront certifications. The town of Bracebridge swim instructors receive $19.50 an hour, and they would have all the exact same qualifications that the Gull Lake lifeguards do, besides the waterfront. YMCA swim instructors and lifeguards are making $17.75 for their starting, but I know they are also struggling for staff. Splash Island Muskoka lifeguards make $19 to $22 an hour, and the only qualifications they need are their NL pool, and that's your National Lifeguard Certification. Camp Winston lifeguards are making $25 an hour. That is a lot, but they are also dealing with higher needs children as well, so I understand that that is a high number. Some other jobs, and these are non-aquatic related, but minimum wage is $16.55, and the lifeguards here are making $17.12. That is only 57 cents above minimum wage. And we pay for training, and we have a very stressful job, whereas minimum wage, I could be working inside, checking out people's groceries, no stress, and just go home and not think about work. Pool attendant at Camping in Muskoka makes $18 an hour, and their job is to read their book for 2 hours and then do a 5-minute pool test every 2 hours. And the only certification they need is their CPR training, but they're not guarding or anything like that. Parks, a town of Gravenhurst employee, is making $18.12 to drive around and pick up garbage. Don't get me wrong, I bet they do fantastic work and they are dealing with garbage, but I feel that our job is a little bit more stressful and we deserve to be not the lowest paid town employee, as they are making more than $1, $1 more than us. And to even apply to this job, we do countless hours of training. These are all the certifications we need to even apply to the beach. Bronze Med is 15 hours, Bronze Cross is 20 hours, Standard First Aid is 16 hours, National Lifeguard Pool is 40 hours, National Lifeguard Waterfront is 20 hours, a swim instructor is 20 hours, and a life-saving instructor is 20 hours. And those are all the bare minimum certifications we need to apply. These are very stressful courses, and they have physical components as well. You must swim a certain time and in a certain distance. There's also intellectual components as well. So these aren't easy courses to obtain. They also cost money. It's over $1,000 to obtain all of these. It's actually $1,300 if totaled up. And that doesn't even include the cost of transportation. As most of these courses aren't offered in Gravenhurst, you have to go to Bracebridge to take them. And half of these I took in Aurelia because Bracebridge didn't offer them. And lifeguards are very responsible kids. We attend the mandatory training week, which is 5 days before work starts of pure training, and everybody shows up unless they actually have prior reasons they can't change, like an exam. But other than that, everyone shows up. And every 2 weeks, we attend more training, and everyone's there, and we're all happy to do that. And every single one of my coworkers is early. I will show up 10 minutes early, and they're all already sitting in the shack, to the point where I feel late, but I'm not. If you're like 5 minutes early, you are late to this job. And all of the staff there truly care. Like when I walk in the shack and someone's like, oh, all my kids are passing for swim lessons, they have the biggest smile on their face. All of us want the little kids to move up in their swim levels. And even when we're not teaching, I know every single kid that's taking swim lessons. I know Sam's kids' names. He knows my kids' names. And even kids that don't take swim lessons, we know the regular kids that show up every afternoon. We know their names, and like we get worried when we don't see them every day. We're like, oh, we haven't seen Nash in a while, where's he? And we worry, and we know their parents. We actually have a list of kids' parents' numbers in the shack. If they're misbehaving, we'll call them and be like, your parent's gonna get called. And all these staff are quite reliable. In the 2 years I've worked there, not once has anyone called in sick or done a no-show. Everyone shows up for their shift. Only once in my entire time of working there, someone has shown up late without a call or text. And every one of these students is a university student, or they're going to university. So they're very mature and reliable people who truly care about the work they do. And I'm not saying you should pay us more because we're just sitting in the sun tanning. There's lots of parts of our job that's not the most glorious time. The water is under advisory most of the time. I think this is the first time in weeks that the water is not under advisory, and it's usually because there's a high elevated level of E. coli. And the health unit doesn't recommend swimming, but we still guard when swimmers are there, so we put ourselves at risk for those swimmers. We still teach lessons in the swim advisory water. And even last year, our coworkers and I had welts all down our legs because of the poor water quality, which we love to teach and we love to get in the water, but when the water's pretty gross, it's not awesome. We also do lots of extra work outside of work hours and unpaid time. On my afternoons off, I spent 4 hours writing report cards, which I don't mind doing, I really enjoy doing. But I know that Parks, who gets paid more than us, does not do extra work on their free time, and they don't bring work home with them. I also write lesson plans every evening for the morning the next day. And we deal with goose poop. We deal with tons of garbage on the beach. We are out there every morning with our shovels and our buckets, and we swim to the docks. Like, I will be in my bathing suit with a bucket, swimming to the far dock. I shovel all the goose poop into this bucket in just my bathing suit, which isn't that much coverage to deal with goose poop, but you have to because you're swimming to the dock. It's what we do. And then I swim back with this bucket full of goose poop all the way back to the beach, which I don't mind doing. It's a part of the job. We also don't get a half-hour break. We don't get a break so I can run to the store and get some food. I'm at the shack all day when I'm there. We do get off rotations where we're allowed to eat and stuff, but you cannot leave during your off rotation. You must be there in case a kid needs a life jacket, or you're going to do a park check, assist in a rescue, or just generally help out, maybe do some patron relations, be like, hey, we can't have an inflatable on the beach. It's also outdoors, so you're exposed to the elements. You can get sunburnt. We also deal with lots of wildlife. I know that there was a few dead birds last year. A dead turtle's a new recent one. And we have water snakes, water minks, all the wildlife you can imagine we've got down there. We also get poured on. If swimmers want to swim in the rain, that's totally their decision, and we just stand in the rain and watch them swim. And you're a little bit chilly, but you can't put on pants because you're guarding. So you get soaked, you can get sunburned. And also, every day I show up to work, I don't know how my shift's gonna go. I could end up jumping in the water, pulling out a child, and performing CPR, and they may not make it. And I would have to go home living with what else could I have done? With the guilt on my conscience of this child and the PTSD from that experience for the rest of my life. A coworker of mine who has 2 jobs says she doesn't count the other one as work because she's not responsible for people's lives. This video is disturbing, and it is of a small child drowning, and it may make you uncomfortable, so feel free to walk out. But please understand that I cannot walk out, as I've watched countless videos like this. This is what I watch as a part of the training for this job, and this could be my reality. This could be the end of my day, the beginning of my day, or any part of my day. I don't know how to play it. Wait.
How long is the video? Because
It's 1 minute.
1 minute. Okay, so we will allow the video to be played because we are at 10 minutes, but
sorry.
we'll allow. Yeah, that's fine. Do you think we should be adding that this didn't this did not happen at Gull Lake Park, right? Like this is,
Yes, this did not happen at Gull Lake Park.
Let's put that disclaimer across there.
Yeah, sorry. This happened at a unguarded facility.
Okay.
The volume doesn't matter the most. Yeah, the volume. And we can stop the video there. I just wanted to show the beginning part of that. And thank you guys so much for your time. I want to reiterate the fact that I'm not here as an employee asking for a singular raise. I'm here so you guys can see the work that the lifeguards do, and I feel that the lifeguards as a whole deserve to be paid a little bit more for the work that they're doing, inside work and outside work. And I feel we should not be the least paid employee of the town, and the parks workers who are picking up garbage with 0 certifications should not be paid more than the lifeguards who are in charge of the Gravenhurst children's and tourists' lives. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay. Well, thank you for that presentation. Very informative to have your point of view. I will remind council and Reagan that we don't set the wages. We have our very competent manager of human resources, Elaine Harkus-Laird, with us today, and she is responsible for coordinating the salary market reviews, and she's been listening here today. So we will let that stay with her, that information, and I mean, these are things that get evaluated. If there was any sort of consideration for wage increase, that would of course be recommended at our budget time. So we thank you for coming. I will ask, are there any questions about lifeguarding, not so much about the wages, to Ms. Tucker? Councillor Strength.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, I was the one that encouraged Ms. Tucker to come to deputate to the council, and I think you did a tremendous job and gave us a lot to think about.
Okay, are there any other questions? All right, so I think if anybody wanted to ask Ms. Harkus-Laird any questions, but I think, message heard loud and clear. I saw, so we will, we thank you And don't forget your sunscreen.
With the cost of living going up, these lifeguards aren't the only ones fighting for a fair wage. We should be making sure that every citizen is paid fairly so that they are able to live comfortably. We hope that Reagan was able to inspire you to fight for your rights as a worker and maybe support some of these people who are fighting to be paid fairly for their work. And with that being said, we wanted to bring you another story of an often underappreciated part of our communities, the public library. The Gravenhurst Public Library was able to come before council and give an update on their services. This included the services that the library is not only currently providing, but will be providing in the future, and any support that they need from council.
Well, next I get to introduce our Gravenhurst Public Library, who hold a special place in my heart. So, we have with us today Julie Reinhardt, the Chief Librarian CEO, Karen Underwood, the Gravenhurst Public Library Board Chair, and we have Irma Solomon with them today as well. And you're still on the board, I believe. Are you the Vice Chair? Okay, well, great. Thanks for joining us today, and I will leave it to you.
Thank you. I push this. Oh, it's already on. Okay, just a minute. Is that how that works? Yeah. Okay. This is just a little quick update of what we've been doing for the last 6 months, I guess, or since last summer, just so you know what we're up to. We're up to lots of things, but Julia can tell you all the things that programs that they're doing. But what the board did, we needed to develop a new mission statement, and we needed to do a new vision statement in order to move on to our strategic plan. So in the spring of 2023, the library board created a survey that was circulated to the permanent and the part-time or seasonal residents of the community in the summer months. This was analyzed by a facilitator from the Ontario Library Service, and they highlighted the priorities identified by the survey. And as a follow-up to that, the library board and the board members attended an in-house strategic planning session, workshop, facilitated by the Ontario Library Service. And this workshop focused on the priorities previously identified. It was decided that a new mission statement and a new vision statement was needed. So this is our new mission statement, and it's where the community comes together to learn, communicate, and engage. In the winter, each board member submitted mission and vision statements based on the workshop results. And then these submissions were forwarded to the Strategic Planning Committee for selection, and the board approved the mission and the vision statement. And this is what we used to start our strategic planning. And this is our vision statement. The Gravenhurst Public Library will continue to be a vibrant, informed, and inspired leader in the community. The library will reflect the needs of the community by creating a larger space, hiring more staff, and improving resources throughout the community, partnerships, fundraising, and donations. So, our strategic plan. In the spring of 2024, the Strategic Planning Committee developed a strategic plan based on the new vision statement and the mission statement, but basically the new vision statement. And we adopted the example that the town had done for their strategic plan with the concept of using pillars. And what's being presented to you today is just a draft of the plan because we haven't had the opportunity to vote on it until our first September meeting. So pillar one, we have 3 pillars. Pillar one is creating a larger space. And with our larger space, there's an ongoing review of the efficiency of the current space that we already have. We're replacing the second floor reference desk and shelving units, establishing a teaching garden at the front of the building using native plants, develop an outside reading space. Our facility study is a review of the 2018 facility site study. It is in process right now, reviewing the additional costs. I'll talk about that in a minute. We're going to try to have ongoing quarterly meetings with the town to discuss such items as capital budget funds, the development charge study, future expansion. Another item under our pillar one is fundraising strategies. We want to apply, we want to apply for charitable status. We want to contract with a freelance specialist in searching and applying for grants. Registered as a charity with Canada Helps, a format that collects money and issues receipts for us. And also advertising the need for donations and make it more visible and accessible to the library on the website. So that's what we're going to do for pillar one. For pillar two, we want to improve our resources that we have. Under that, we are going to have more staff and board development. We're going to try to provide specialized training for exterior agencies and in-house PD, maintain mandated health and safety training, reviewed the responsibilities for a library clerk one and filled the vacant part for the part-time person. Annual board training using resources available online through the Ontario Library Services and Conferences. Host staff appreciation functions, develop an employee recognition policy in order to acknowledge milestones, and also to offer diversity and collection training for the staff. Under enhancing technology, we want to create a mobile makerspace, offer self-serve copying services, explore data collection resolutions, and upgrade the programming room technology. And under number 3, diversify collections, we want to develop a diversity, equity, and inclusion, or a DEI policy, review the collections and resources for diversity, equity, and inclusion, and enhance the virtual resources and weed out the physical collection. We weeded out a lot and had our book sale recently, so that's ongoing. And our pillar number 3 is establishing community partnerships. We want to assess the partners that we already have, create a list of partners, current and potential, and formation of an engagement committee, which will establish a community committee for the purpose of fundraising and advocacy. So, looking forward down that long road, our long-term goal, obviously, is expansion to the existing library. Facility site study was conducted in 2017-18, and the results of that study mirror the results that were received from the recent survey. So nothing really has changed in the last 7 years, including the library, still same size. Unfortunately, the major change is the cost increase. The Altus Group, who was working with us, is a company that works with the architectural firm to provide an itemized costing for projects. And they revised the estimate in June of 2024 for us to give us a rate update so we really know how much more money we have to spend. So really the bottom line is we're probably going to be, $11 million. I don't know where that's coming from, but we're hopeful. This is why it's a long, long road. So that's probably about an increase of like $3 million. And by the time we finally get there, I'm quite sure it'll be a lot more than that. So that's all I have to say that the board has been working on. So now you know how much that's going to cost. And yeah, it's important that we get our fundraising in gear and get our charitable status and Yeah, get at it. Yeah, and find all those contributors out there that have like really, really piles of money that want to give it to the library. That's my Pollyanna world. Okay, Julia. Julia will tell you everything that they've been doing behind the scenes.
Thank you, and you'll come back up for some questions if there's some? Okay, thank you.
Thanks very much, Karen. And thank you, Mayor Lorenz and Council, for allowing us or giving us this opportunity to catch you up on what the board has been doing, because obviously the board has been doing a fair bit in terms of its planning, future planning. And I'm going to be talking about operations, and I think some of you probably have a sense of what's going on in the library. So I'm going to move on to the next slide there. So my job here today, I think, is to give you a sense of how we're bringing the mission, vision, and strategic plan that the board has set for us, is working on setting us up for, bringing that to life. And anybody who's visited the library in the last week or two has probably got a good sense of just what I mean about coming to life with our summer programming activities. Now, I'm hoping I can, this is actually a video, I would just want to give you an idea. So this is an event we held on July 9th. Okay, there we go. You can see the kids. We had a huge crew of parents and grandparents and babies and little ones attend that event. It was very exciting. There was a lot of music, there was a lot of play, and there was literacy all blended together. And there was also a lot of sound. And you can see from the video, I think you can sort of get that sense. Actually, I'll just play it again. If I can play it again, there you go, because it's a fairly short one. There's Jennifer dancing around, getting the kids going. This is our main floor. It's okay. Oh, the sound, there's a bit of sound to it, but so we've expanded out into our main floor space to do this. It's becoming a programming area, which is not, admittedly, it's not ideal, right? Because of the noise levels, but we're making do, we're making it work for our activities. So now I need to figure out how to go to the next slide. Oh, thank you. Because it'll just keep playing that video. All right, so, and what we are doing with this particular space in the library is extensive. There's a lot of high engagement activities as well as hidden learning happening because it's play-based. And I think that really speaks to our mission statement that Karen talked about. In fact, in April, May, and June of this year, we had 2,425 kids attend 86 programs, which is a bit amazing. It kind of blows me away that I just got that stat from Jennifer this morning. So, and you can see there's a huge variety of activity in terms of those programs. We've got Baby Bop and preschool story time for really young children, as well as music for minis. We are doing homeschool meetups with kids who are homeschooled and supporting those families. We are doing a kids club weekly event or activity that takes place for kids ages 5 to 12 pretty much every week during the fall and winter and into the spring. It's very popular. We have between 20 and 25 kids on average a week attending those. We've also got some really great programs that are happening outside. Jennifer's focused on trying to get kids and families to actually attend or go to our local parks here in Gravenhurst, and she's attempting to highlight those, which is something that's pretty popular. This spring it was the Bird Buddies, and she had some really good attendance there. So we also have a unique program happening this summer called Summer Trade School. and that is for older kids who are interested in the trades. And they are basically, Jennifer's doing the program herself. She's getting familiar with different aspects of the trades in, that like HVAC, design, plumbing, electrical, all of those things. And she's got them sponsored, these activities sponsored by local experts they're providing funding for it, which is great. But she's doing the actual programming as the teacher, and her is kind of taking over that part of things. We also are catering to tweens and teens and have had pretty good success with those activities as well. As you can see from the photos, if you can see, good mix of boys and girls, and lots of kids having a good time. So the learning and engagement doesn't, and the fun actually isn't just for the kids. It's also for adults. We offer a program offer a variety of programming opportunities to support lifelong learning of people in our community. We have tech time workshops. We had a special learn 3D printing with Tinkercad for adults, and that was for people who want to learn the basics of creating basic 3D designs and then print those on the library's 3D printer. And that was using some free software that's available online. So we have regular Cricut creations using the Cricut. You can see it's basically a cutter for crafts. It's great for putting labels on different items. Like you can see the pot there in that one picture where a label's been placed on it. That's been designed by somebody who's come to the program. And that's our FlashForge 3D printer. And then beside that is our new, it's a unit that charges several devices at once. And we just got that. It's actually located in my office, and that's probably where it's going to stay because we don't have the space elsewhere for it. So it's a nice safe spot for it. We have regular adult craft clubs every month. We do game nights. We also have done something unique called puppy cuddling therapy or puppy visits, and that's actually been designed for adults with complex care needs, and they may live with their family or in a group home setting, and we've been working with their caregivers and bringing in puppies from a local dog breeder, and it's been very successful and unique, like I said. This summer, in terms of some of the things we're doing for adults, we're doing a summer reading challenge. So you complete the challenge and your name gets entered into a draw. So yeah, so those are kind of activities over the last year and a half. I tried to pull on what we've done. Some of the other things, ways we've attempted to engage the community and provide that lifelong learning that's so essential. It continues with the offer of these special presentations and author talks. And here's what we did the last year. So we had Jennifer Mook-Sang writing she was talking about how to write a children's book, so it was definitely for adults. We had Patrick Boyer and his Muskoka Heritage Nuggets, Beverly Brewer with her Dance into the Night book, Wendy Truscott, her Dead Serious Thriller she talked about, Peter Johnston, the Climate Crisis in Muskoka, Let's Get Smart About Salt with Neil Hutchison. Then we had Pat Stott Prince, that was back in May. She talked about her Ghostly Encounters Mysteries. And then at the end of May, we had the Tall Pine Tales event with the Cottage Country Writers. So lots of great local talent, writing talent here, as I think probably a lot of you know. It was great to feature those folks. So we also do special activities, library activities and events, including the Mitten Tree, which is our collection. We collect materials or items donated by people who have either purchased them or made them, mitts, scarves, and they adorn our mitten tree at Christmas time, and then those items get donated to a local charity. We also have our Christmas open house, which many of you have attended. We have a family literacy at the end of January that we celebrate with participation in various activities and very much focused on literacy, early literacy in particular. And then we had last summer, we had our end of summer Touch of Truck event, which we had over 300 people attend. And that took place in the parking lot of the library. And we had the fire department and the OPP there with their vehicles, which was great fun for the kids. And this summer, we're going to do something in-house on that main floor again. We're going to have a Marvelous Magician magic show, and that's taking place on August the 28th. So, another thing we have been doing is we want to support the town, obviously, and other community partners by responding to the call for involvement in town and community events. And that is an ever-increasing request that we are hearing. It's grown in the last number of years, making the library one of the key providers of free kids' activities, especially over the summer months. These provide us with an opportunity to demonstrate our community leadership through collaboration, as well as promote our resources, services, and programs. And there's a list, not exhaustive, of some of the community events we participate in and the town activities as well. So, and in terms of promoting ourselves and promoting our activities and our resources and getting the word out to the community, we are doing that in a variety of ways. We do that with announcements through our partners like the Chamber of Commerce, social media posts, word-of-mouth advertising. We also have a monthly electronic newsletter, which is now weekly through the summer months, which some of you may subscribe to. And we also have a quarterly calendar of events, which is probably the thing we, get the most bang for our buck out of in terms of what it looks like. And just, no, I don't want to go that way. How do I go back? And click that link. Kayla, you can do it for me? Thank you. Hopefully it works. Okay. So, yeah, if you don't mind just flipping it. So this is available through our website, which is on the town's website. This is what it looks like, so anybody can access this. We also embed all of our activities and events in the town's calendar, too. So that gives you kind of a sense. And our sponsors for the summer activities are on the back of that, as you can see how many sponsors we had this summer. Now if you don't mind, thank you. So one of the other things we've done, and Kayla gave out some samples to all of you at the council table, we've got some new merch with our logo on it. We've got pens, and we have some wine goblets, as you can see there, device chargers. We've got some tote bags, 2 different colors, blue and green. And we also have a 16 gigabyte crystal memory stick that we're selling that lights up in that color of blue. So it's kind of fun. It's something we've been wanting to do for a long time. And the board did approve the purchase of those items that a lot of them, a good percentage, probably 70 to 75% will probably be sold. And then we're holding back some of it for special prizes and gifts and giveaways. So. Another thing we're doing, too, which helps us get the word out about what we're doing, but also supports us and supports the sponsor themselves, is the sponsorship program. And that's something that was initiated back in 2023 with the monthly snack sponsor for children's, tween, and teen programming. This has evolved to having sponsors provide funds for specific programs, like the summer trade school that I mentioned earlier. And in exchange for those funds, sponsors receive free advertising on posters, our quarterly calendar, and in social media postings. So just a nice way to give attention to them, and they are all local businesses, which we were really excited to be working with. In terms of our collection, a library isn't just about programming. We have some of our special collections that I wanted to kind of highlight. As Karen mentioned, we're working on diversifying our collection, which applies to the physical nature of what we have available, as well as the content of the books we are purchasing. So we have a library of things, which includes things like the Wi-Fi or MiFi hotspots, Happy Lights, board games, puzzles, adventure packs, Muskoka Trail maps, Ontario Park passes, and then we have fishing rods, and that's through a partnership with Tackle Share, which is the Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters. We also have Wonder Books, and they're picture books that kids can follow along with while the book reads to them out loud. And this spring, we purchased some lendable launch pads, and what they are they're sturdy tablets that are loaded with fun and educational games. The Learn to Read Literacy Collection is a really special collection that Jennifer Whipp, our Child and Youth Services librarian, has been working very hard on. And it's an assemblage of reading resources intended to help parents and caregivers practice reading skills with their children. These include decodable literacy strips, books and passages, reading games, dry erase, reusable printouts, phonics readers, and more. And as a part of the collection, parents can also complete a free reading assessment with their child to pinpoint exactly what literacy skills they have mastered and which ones they need help with. After which a library staff member, can recommend a perfectly leveled resource for that family and child. So really proud of this. Something Jennifer did put out there, and she actually got a response from I think it was over 30 other public libraries, and they were very interested in hearing more about this collection and how she developed it. So pretty exciting. Some of the other resources we have are digital, so that's Craftsy for those who are looking for craft ideas. Digital magazines, we have a collection of over 3,000 titles of those, and no waiting to get those because they're instantly accessible. We also added the Cantuk French language collection recently in April. And that includes popular and classic French language ebooks and Canadian audiobooks. Then we have transparent language online for those who want to learn a new language. And this summer, we are also highlighting some brand new books, calling them our Hot Summer Reads. That was a really popular collection we had last year, and they are very hot. They are not staying on the shelf at all. And what's neat about them is they have mixed titles, and some of them are diverse, and some of them are Canadian titles as well. So, unique services. I'm sure most of you are familiar with quite a few of these. One I wanted to highlight, or a couple I wanted to highlight, is the interlibrary loans. So if people can't find things in the collection, we can usually find it in another library. We've also expanded our outreach and materials exchanges over the past year to include 2 local community homes for opportunity, or 2 homes, Muskoka Road North and the Doe Lake residents. We also did our annual book sale, and you'd be surprised that, I call it a service because in a way it's a service to the community because it gives everybody a chance to clean out their basements and their garages and drop stuff off. We did actually quite well. We did just under $2,000 in donations for those materials for 1 week of sales. So that's great. We also made some changes to our copying services because we are the only location in town. We offer those services, and we've increased some of our prices around those in order to help offset the cost, the staffing costs, the increased demand on staff. We also do co-op student placements, and we've had 3 of those this past year, 2 of them from the library technician program at Mohawk, and 1 from Queen's University. And as most of you know, the Gravenhurst Archives is housed inside our building on the 2nd floor. So, just one more slide, I think, maybe 2. The other thing I want to highlight is our programming and the services we do with partners. We do have some really strong partnerships. Karen mentioned that as part of our strategic plan. And we are constantly wanting to develop those. So some of you may be aware of these. Some of them you're not familiar with. The fire safety story time was a lot of fun. I know we had a good turnout for that, and that actually took place at the fire station here in town. We run some babysitting and home alone courses, which have been really popular. We've started up our classroom visits and school fun nights again. We were part of GAP Yak Hangout. We did some interesting series featuring Muskoka makers. We did a cyber security series, and then we also did a spring into gardening series with our Muskoka Master Gardeners connections. And this is the final slide, or second final slide. So this is by no means a comprehensive compilation of our partners' logos, especially considering how many local businesses have donated to the library the past couple of years, either through the sponsorship program or just by dropping off stuff that we can use for programs. Without our partners, much of what we do, especially in terms of programming, would be a far cry from what it is today. So we are very grateful for that ongoing support, and we are hoping to continue to nurture and develop that support into something bigger as we look into the future. And that is the end of our presentation.
But what are you really doing, Julia? What's really going on at the library? I think that was amazing. Again, I love the library, and I've said this before, it served certain times of my life more than others, but I'm back to audiobooks and taking books out, and I just did return 2 books. I had a day to spare, but I think that we're very lucky to have the board that really works hard. I would say they're a working board. It's amazing to see what such a small but mighty team can do in that building. So thanks for coming. And I also wanted to acknowledge Councillor Hunter, who sits on your board now, and she's I'm sure a great asset. So now, Councillor, are there any questions for Julia or Karen? Yes. Oh, Councillor Morphy.
Thank you, through you, Your Worship. Writing notes about your expansion and your $11 million, and I understand that would be the dream answer. But what is your current state of affairs? Do you have the square footage? Do you need temporary, like a portable or use of another building? Where do you stand in your current as you work towards your expansion?
Through you, Mayor Lorenz, to Councillor Morphy. So our current square footage is 8,000 square feet. The expansion we were looking at is 8,900 square feet. So we're looking at that. Currently, I would say we're at capacity because we are now regularly weeding material that we probably only had for a period of 5 or 10 years at max, which isn't ideal. We are putting more funds in our budget towards electronic books and audiobooks because we have to. We have no really choice either because the demand there is increasing. But unfortunately, the costs of those materials is skyrocketing. So this past year, those materials went up by 20%. So it's a real balancing act between our physical collection budget and our electronic or digital collection. But we have to look more at the digital collection to solve some of that. We also have people that really want the physical material. Like when you think about kids, youngsters, wanting board books, or parents wanting board books, parents wanting picture books. Those are things that just you cannot find electronically very well. It doesn't work. And then in terms of the use of the space, we are doing, I think, everything we can for the programming. We need more, essentially. We do. But I don't know what that looks like in a temporary way. Yeah, we haven't talked about a portable, a portable unit where we could do, we could put out our collection into it. I mean, there'd be a lot of considerations because you can't just put a physical collection in a portable without heating it and without staffing it and insuring it and all those things. But we need to look at something creative in the interim because, the costs of an addition are excessive, really. So thank you for the question, though. Karen, did you have?
No,
that's fine. Okay.
Councillor Hunter, you had a question?
Yes. Thank you, Your Worship. Through you. One thing I didn't see mentioned, or maybe I missed it, is the day passes to provincial parks. Is that still happening?
Yes. Through you, Mayor Lorenz, to Councillor Hunter. Yes, we have 3 park passes that are being circulated regularly.
And do they get used? They do get used?
They do get used, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then my second question, if I could, the e-magazines, does that include newspapers too? Could somebody take out a virtual, like, National Post or something like that?
No, they do not include newspapers. That's another resource called Press Reader that we could actually invest in. It's a very costly resource. It's one we haven't because of the size of our population. I know other libraries that serve a bigger population do have that in their collection, and it is amazing, but there's a big price tag associated with it.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? No, doesn't look like it. Well, thanks again for coming. Again, it's you guys do a lot of work with very few bodies, and so it's really amazing to see all the things that are going on at the library. So
thank you very much for the opportunity to be here.
Your public library, whether you use it or not, is often a lifeline for members of your community. They are often used by members of your community that are unhoused or people looking to stay cool in the summer, as most libraries have air conditioning. They also provide internet for those who are unable to access computers. And of course, they hold their wealth of books available for the community to use. If you have a library card already, that is great. But if you don't, we wanted to let you know that even if you don't plan on using the library's services, having a library card helps increase the numbers for that library. So when they go before City Council and ask for funding, these numbers show the members of the community that they plan to serve. So even just having a library card is helping those other members in your community access these services that you might take for granted. So if you don't have a library card, we encourage you to go to your local library and sign up for one. It is going to make a big difference to the members of your community who rely on the services that your public library provides them. And we know it's the summer and you're looking to get back outside and enjoy this beautiful weather that we're having. So we are going to bring you just 2 more stories on today's episode. One of them includes the doctor shortage that not only the people of Simcoe Muskoka are facing, but this is an issue that is province-wide. But before we get to that story, we know that if you live in Gravenhurst or the Muskoka area, you care about the environment. That is why Bee City Canada came before Gravenhurst City Council to discuss how they can make Gravenhurst a Bee City delegate.
And moving right along to new business item number 4. It's moved by Councillor Hunter, second by Councillor Morphy. Whereas the goal of Bee City Canada certification is to promote healthy, sustainable habits and communities for native bees and other pollinators, and whereas communities and their residents have the opportunity to support native bees and other pollinators on both public and private land, as well as fostering environmental awareness and sustainability by increasing interactions and engagement among community stewards, and whereas the town of Gravenhurst should be certified as a Bee City Canada community because it committed to the principles of the Bee City Canada certification, including coordinating local pollinator habitat awareness activities, developing and maintaining a municipal pollinator habitat plan, setting specific and measurable targets for an increase in the quantity of pollinator habitats, celebrating annually National Pollinator Week. Okay, I didn't realize that. And applying annually for the Bee City Canada designation. Therefore, be it resolved that report number DEV 2024-62 RE Bee City Canada designation be received for information. And finally, that the town accepts the designation and commits to the standards of the Bee City Canada program. Director Halford.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. So coming out of the resolution that was just passed regarding Trails Committee RFP, there was also direction at the last council meeting for educational initiatives that Sustainability Committee was completing be brought forward by staff, and this is one of those recommendations. So the Bee City Canada program in the agenda package that you have, I've included a link to the program. It's very easy to understand, very straightforward program. There's 3 pillars of this program: creating healthy, biodiverse pollinator habitat, education wherever possible, and celebrating Pollinator Week. So it's actually the 3rd week of June every year, and there's lots of ways that that can be celebrated, including social media posts, events, however we can put our heads together and come up with celebrating that. So the intent of the program, as was alluded to in the motion, to start conversations about how to reduce and eliminate chemicals that are harmful to pollinators, raise awareness of the pollinator diversity, and the benefits of using native plants. So we're lucky in Gravenhurst that our Parks Department has been using native plants for years, and we have a number of pollinator gardens around our community. So becoming a designated community as the entry into this can be as simple as paying our $200 fee because of our population. That's the fee. And we have already a program in place for supporting native pollinators in our community. Wherever we take it from there is, subject to budget and creativity limits. So I've had initial conversations with our marketing, comms, economic development, events kind of programs, and we have lots of ideas, again, subject to creativity and budget limitations. So we'll be joining a whole host of other municipalities in Ontario and across Canada, such as St. Thomas, Georgina, Tiny, Minden Hills, in making a public commitment to supporting pollinators and their habitats. So I think this is a really exciting designation. There's lots we can do with it, putting a sign at the entry to our community, that kind of thing. And even developing programming around it. So it's very, I think this report speaks for itself, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Sounds like something the library could work a program around.
I was going to mention that actually because of their learning garden. It sounds like there might be some great synergies.
Some good crossover there. Councillor, are there any questions about the program? I've got Councillor Hunter and then Councillor Johnston.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you. I'm not sure if it's really a question or more of just a comment. I'm very excited about this. But I guess my question is around the education around what's termed weeds, just because often we get complaints of people with weeds on their lawn. And if we're moving forward with this, recognizing that a lot of pollinators use those weeds like dandelions, goldenrod, clover, things like that. So I guess it would just be up to all of us to kind of educate the public on the importance of maybe what we would typically term as weeds, as now maybe hopefully be a little bit more accepted. But yeah, other than that, I'm just really excited about it, and I think, yeah, I don't know. Well done.
I'm not sure there was a question in there, really. No. I think it was just more, yeah.
Your Worship, I may just add to Councillor Hunter's point. We've noted that like the no mow May and leave your yard at the end of this winter kind of a initiative. This will be built into that, and it kind of coming out of into the third week of June being Pollinator Week. There's lots of synergies there. So over the winter, we're going to come up with an education and outreach program for pushing out on our social medias and on our website and that type of thing, just to highlight that it's very easy to participate in this program. And if you see this happening on lawns near you, this is what it is. There are also signs as part of this program you can put on your lawn, and so it all comes down to how big of a program we're able to do within our the resources that we have. Yeah.
Okay, Councillor Johnston.
I did it again, sorry. I need to acknowledge it's not so much a comment, or not so much a question as a comment as my seatmate here did. But what I'll do is I'll make the comment to Director Halford. It's a very positive comment. And then I'll just say, what do you think? So that will be my question. My comment is simply this, that the pollinators and what we're doing here is so vitally important in the climate crisis action plan. People don't realize how much the pollinator community around the world has been decimated by climate, and we just simply can't live without them. So I just want to thank you and everyone else that's been involved in the program. And so my question is, what do you think about that? Thank you.
Okay. So I will call the question on that. And that carries, thank you. Now I guess it's up to staff to create a buzz surrounding the program. I was thinking about that the whole time everybody else was talking. Okay, so thank you very much for that. And we are now going to go into the items from the consent agenda. So we'll go in order. It's moved by Councillor Hunter, second by Councillor Robinson. You pulled, actually no, you pulled the consent item number 1. So I will, before I read it, I'll ask you to speak to it, or should? I'll read it first, actually. It's moved by Councillor Hunter, second by Councillor Robinson. Whereas the Association of Municipalities of Ontario has expressed concern with the state of healthcare in Ontario due to lack of access to family doctors, impacts of physician retirements and decline in physicians practicing family medicine, and whereas a robust workforce developed through a provincial sector-wide human resource strategy would significantly improve access to healthcare services across Ontario. Therefore, be it resolved that the correspondence from AMO and OMA regarding joint health resolution campaign be received for information, and that the province of Ontario be urged to recognize the physician shortage in Ontario to fund healthcare appropriately and ensure every Ontarian has access to physician care. And finally, that this motion be forwarded to the province of Ontario. Councillor Hunter?
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. I know that was a mouthful to say, but I do think it does, and I know we say this all the time, it does speak for itself. However, I pulled out some of the stats that are in the initial letter. 2.3 million Ontarians don't have access to a family doctor. We see this all the time online. People move to the community and they're asking, you know, how do I get a doctor? And then we see the comments underneath saying you can't. 40% of family doctors will be retiring in the next 5 years, and then pushing into Northern Ontario, we'll see half of physicians practicing going into retirement in that time frame. So we know our population is growing. We know that we need doctors. We know it's difficult to recruit and retain them. So I felt that this was a good push forward to send the message that we want doctors, we want healthcare to be prioritized, and everyone should have access to a family doctor. I'll leave it there.
Okay. Councillor Robinson, did you have something to add as the seconder?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you. Councillor Hunter's kind of taken all my notes, but I do want to say that I do support this, that Northern Ontario is short more than 350 physicians, including more than 200 family doctors, and half of the physicians working in Northern Ontario are expected to retire in the next 5 years. So I support this resolution, and it urges the provincial government to recognize the physician shortage in Gravenhurst and the rest of Ontario. By adopting this resolution, Gravenhurst can play a crucial role in highlighting the urgent need for more healthcare resource and support. So I support it.
Okay. Councillor, is there any further conversation surrounding this? Councillor Morphy?
I'm sorry, I hate to do this. I would wonder if the mover and the seconder, the original, if you could have the motion back up, please. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Council of Gravenhurst. Oh, you don't have the entirety of it. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm my mistake.
Okay. Is there any other questions or comments? Well, I will just say that you know, we should be recognizing this, and I think that there are some movements to do so. Our CAO represents Gravenhurst on the local health human resource task force, who with some partners in the medical field in the community and our other municipal partners are working towards this very thing. And so I didn't know if you wanted to add anything, Mr. Lucas, but Gravenhurst, it does recognize this. I mean, aside from this, I think, you know, AMO did suggest we all put our voices together and go to the province, but I think we have been doing work towards this. Just if there's people still watching 3 hours later, we have been working towards this, and there is work being done. So we haven't been asleep at the wheel until now, I guess is what I'm saying. So Mr. Lucas, is there anything you'd like to add?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No, we're certainly doing our part locally, but I do think this motion is quite important. There's some confusion about how big of a deal the doctor shortage is, or the physician shortage is across the province as a whole, and it's enormous. And I think this really articulates well what Gravenhurst and other communities feel how significant this issue is across the province, and we'll of course continue to do what we can do locally to bring doctors to Gravenhurst and Muskoka.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Jorgensen? I think the clerk's cut you off. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know why it's not working.
I'll cancel it and try again. Oh, now I'm currently speaking.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, thank you. I just thought it prudent to point out as well that, you know, one way of getting doctors in the community obviously is through medical students working here as part of their program. And I believe that Muskoka Algonquin Healthcare, we heard that they have a good relationship with the Northern Ontario School of Medicine. In fact, host about 100 students annually, I believe. And, you know, I think we find this in our own departments at the town, that students who come and work with the municipality, and I would suspect it's a very similar crossover. You know, if you got students who come to the community, medical students, and get a taste of the community when they're still in their training period, then they have a better chance of staying when they become full-time doctors. So I think it's worth pointing out that's an important function that is already going on here as well in terms of doctor recruitment. Get the students here, and hopefully they can stay in practice at some point. So I just want to point that out.
Okay, so if there's nothing else, I'll ask the question. That carries. Thank you.
Well, that is all we have for today, folks. We want to make sure that you can go out and enjoy this beautiful weather that we're having. We also want to thank you for taking the time to learn more about Gravenhurst. If you had any questions or concerns about what we covered in today's episode, we encourage you to reach out to your ward councillor in Gravenhurst and share it with them. Civic engagement helps to shape the future that we want for our communities. And remember, your voice needs to be heard. Which is why, if there is anything happening in your community that you would like us to cover in Region 7, please let us know in the comments of this video. Merci for watching, and we'll see you down the river.